By the end of this video, you'll be able to write and run a whole test suite with Claude Code, ensuring your code is reliable and stable. Writing tests is a crucial step in any development workflow, as it helps catch bugs and errors early on, saving you time and resources in the long run. With Claude Code, you can leverage its features for efficient testing, making it easier to maintain and scale your codebase. You'll learn how to create test cases, run them, and integrate them into your development cycle. This will not only improve the quality of your code, but also give you confidence in its reliability. We'll go through this process step by step, using real examples and commands, so you can follow along and apply it to your own projects. Claude Code's testing capabilities are a game changer for developers, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to harness its power to write and run comprehensive test suites. To get started, make sure you have Claude Code installed and ready to use. Your first step will be to create a new test file, which we'll cover in the next section. Vocabulary, reliability, stability, test, suite, Claude Code. By the end of this, you'll be able to set up your project with Claude Code and get ready to write your tests. To start testing with Claude Code, you need to set up your project. This involves installing the necessary dependencies and configuring your test environment. First, create a new directory for your project and navigate into it. Then, run Claude init to create a new Claude Code project. This will set up the basic structure for your project, including a ClaudeCode file that stores your project's configuration. Next, install the testing dependencies by running claude install at claude/test. This will add the necessary packages to your project. Now, create a new folder for your tests by running dir tests. This is where you'll store all your test files. To tell Claude Code where your tests are, update the ClaudeCode file with the test folder path. You can do this by adding a test field with a path to your test folder. For example, if your test folder is named tests, your ClaudeCode file should have a line that says tests. With your project set up and your test environment configured, you're now ready to start writing your tests. To get started, create a new file in your test folder, for example, test/myfirsttest.clause. By the end of this, you'll be able to write and organize your own test cases with Claude Code. Writing test cases is where the rubber meets the road. It's how you ensure your code works as expected. With Claude Code, you define test functions using the test keyword. For example, if you have a function called add that takes two numbers and returns their sum, your test function might look like this. Test add test assert add 2, 3 equals 5. Here, add test is the name of your test, and assert is used to verify the result of add 2, 3 equals 5. If the assertion fails, the test fails. You can write multiple test functions like this and then organize them into suites for easier management. To run your tests, you'll use the Claude Code command line tool. For now, let's focus on writing these tests. You'll create a file named tests.cl and start writing your test functions there. Try creating that file and adding a simple test function to it. You can use the add function example as a starting point. Next, you'll learn how to run these tests, but for now, get familiar with writing test cases. By the end, you'll be able to run your entire test suite with Claude Code and understand the results. First, make sure you're in the directory where your test files are located. You've written your tests. Now it's time to run them. Open your terminal and navigate to the project directory. Once you're there, you can use the Claude Code command line interface to run your tests. The basic command to run all tests is claude test. This will execute every test in your suite and display the results. If you want to run a specific test or a subset of tests, you can specify the test file name or a pattern, like claude test mytest.claw. Claude Code will then run only those tests and show you the outcome. Pay attention to the output, as it will tell you which tests passed and which failed. If a test fails, the output will include an error message that can help you troubleshoot the issue. You can also use the verbose flag to get more detailed information about the test run, like Claude test verbose. This will give you a better understanding of what's happening during the test execution. Now, go ahead and run your test suite with Claude test and see the results for yourself. By now, you've got your test suite running smoothly with Claude Code. That's great, but what happens when the tests don't pass? Let's dive into how to review those results and refine your code. You're already in the terminal because you ran Claude Code run tests earlier, right? If not, open it now. Your current directory should be where your project is located. Look at the output from Claude Code. It'll show you what passed and failed, and even provide some context why a test might have failed. For example, test summary. 9 tests passed. 1 test failed. Failed tests. Test_example. Test_ function. Expected false but got true. Take note of the failing test name and any additional details provided by Claude Code. The first step in fixing a failure is to understand what's going wrong. In our example, it looks like test_ function is returning true instead of false. Double-check your function definition and make sure you're not accidentally returning the opposite value. Once you've identified the issue, go ahead and refactor your code to fix it. For instance, Python, def test_ function, return true. Def test_ function, return false. Rerun the tests after making this change. Back in your terminal, run Claude Code, run tests again. You should see the failing test now pass. Test summary. 10 tests passed. No failed tests. Great job. Your code is working as expected now. Sometimes fixing one issue can reveal others. Keep running your tests, fixing issues, and iterating until all tests are passing consistently. Before you move on to the next step in the video, adding more sophisticated tests, you might want to tweak a few functions based on what you've learned today. Try adding some edge cases or refactoring another function that could benefit from testing. By the end of this video, you'll be able to write and run a whole test suite with Claude Code. And now that you've seen how it's done, it's time to start using it in your own projects. You've learned how to create tests, run them, and refine your code based on the results. To get the most out of Claude Code, you should integrate testing into your regular development workflow. A great way to start is with a simple project like a command line tool or a small script, where you can practice writing and running tests with Claude Code. You can find all the code from this video in the ClaudeLab GitHub repository, and you can also find more information about Claude Code and its testing features in the claude.md documentation. If you want to see more examples of how to use Claude Code for testing and other development tasks, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more practical, hands-on videos. Now, take a simple project you're working on and try adding a test or 2 using Claude Code. See how it goes, and don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. With Claude Code, you can write better code faster, and that's what it's all about. So go ahead, give it a try, and let us know how it goes. Vocabulary, repository, refine, subscribe, experiment.